Just leave it as it is. No need to shove AI down our throats.
Products need AI if AI can help you.
If you're not capable of selling yourself, then you put yourself in a shitty position.
Would AI help my user? Would the user have some benefits if I integrate AI within the product?
I don't immediately use everything that's coming out. I guess I don't want to be the lab rat in a way.
Do you really think companies will need juniors when you can have an AI doing the work?
When you hire somebody, you obviously want to hire somebody with experience.
Exactly.
But how the fuck do you get experience if nobody hired you before? It's like the chicken egg problem.
Go to hackathons, build pet projects. That's your experience.
If you want to be a junior and you want to enter the game, you have to be a fucking exceptional one.
You need to find the users, the customer who has the pain point, who needs your product.
I'm not going to let the LLM take the decision of what should be the solution to a specific problem.
It's how the society puts it, and it's what society expects from you as a man.
The most violent / powerful society is the one that survives. Hello and welcome everyone to yet another episode of VUnstaged, the After Hours edition with a very special guest, a colleague, friend of mine. It's been such a while, and I will not spoil the show without too much further ado. I ask this everyone, if you can tell us your name, what do you do for a living, and of course, I ask this everyone, how did you get into tech? Because everyone got their own little interesting story.
So hi everyone, my name is Ana-Maria, and what do I do for a living? So I actually do a lot of things, and I find a very easy way to put it all is that I'm a builder. I like to turn ideas into something real, something impactful and real.
Yeah.
And I do that in different ways. So in my professional career, day-by-day job, I'm a product manager. And I do that by working with engineers, designers, where we turn ideas, we build software to solve real world problems.
Yeah.
So that's what I do professionally. But then,
so you do software, in a sense, developing it or more of managing it?
I'm product manager, working
just wanted
side
to
by
make sure.
side. Working side by side with engineers, designers, and many more stakeholders, including users, customers, and so on and so forth. So this is one side of the things that I do. But also there is another side of the things that I do, and something that I've done since I was a student is community events, being part of community organization. It's volunteering, and it's a big part of everything that I do. And I did that since I was a student, starting with different student organizations.
I think that's how I met you, actually.
Really?
If I remember, like the university years at the Technical University, I think you were not even promoting, but you were like, there was this Anglophone thing at the Technical University. And I think you were the one collecting like registrations and whatnot. People who wanted to like go into that, they had to register and then pass some kind of a test. And obviously I couldn't apply because of my stupid, let's call it, the guy who was in charge of me allowing to move, because I wasn't part of the right cathedral, let's call it. I couldn't apply, but I remember you from the university doing that stuff. Yeah.
So that was just one of the things.
Yeah.
So that's one of the student organization. It was like a small community. And actually me and a couple of friends, we made it as a legal entity. So we could say that's one of the first organization that I co-founded.
Yeah.
But as a legal identity, because as a community, it was there, like the English taught program of computer science.
Yeah, right.
So that's one side. Then there was BEST, which is Board of European Students of Technology. And then I think in my last year of university, I founded a student organization for female engineers. So
I recall you being like some tech ambassador for women and whatnot.
That came later.
Yeah.
So that's like 3 different organizations. I think there was another one there. But after I graduated, I joined the Tech Women Moldova community. So that's another community. I was an ambassador there. And there we started a mentoring program for women in tech. So that came later. And in the past couple of years or so, I was an active member, and I'm still am. I think I'm gonna go back to that.
You think?
Well, I'm gonna go back to that in 2 weeks because
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
another presentation on workshop on AI. So I'm an active member of AI in Action community. So I've been organizing meetups, workshops.
You're throwing topics at me, I see.
Well, that's you ask me what I do for a living.
No. It's fine.
So-
We'll jump into all of that and more. It's
And that's not all that I do.
oh,
I still have
I'm
one-
sorry, my bad.
So that's one side. But
Yeah.
then there is another side. So for the past year, I was experimenting with a startup. So I did join the startup journey. So again, it's all comes together around
You mean your idea, or you
Yes.
joined like somebody else?
my own idea.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, that was this past year. I started one idea. I learned a lot of lessons along the way.
But
Let's just say something is cooking right now in the background.
interesting.
I don't want to give too many details, but it's something is cooking in the background. So that's why I told you, like, I'm a builder and I love to turn ideas into something real, because it's a lot of things I do.
Yeah, you're always on the move, which is what I appreciate about you, like university, then career and whatnot. But like, I don't know, if you take most startup ideas, they typically die in your head most of the times. You're like doing all the math and shit, like I'm gonna need this, that, overthinking, and then it dies. Like that's my case. Like I'm trying to think, okay, let me do it for the Moldovan market and then the European market, and I'm like, fuck, I need to fucking develop it and then push it, and no, I'm not gonna do it.
Yes.
It's too much.
Yes, you're right here, and you're taking a risk when you start.
Correct.
A startup,
Yeah. It's like ideas, as I like how somebody said, ideas don't value as much unless you actually get to some implementation. Because most products out there, they're not new. They're some copied version of another product, just better tailored to specific users, I guess.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, like, while I was on this startup journey, I was doing some research on startups and especially AI startups, and all the crazy ideas are out there nowadays. Even like I was looking at some jobs for product managers in some startups, and the ideas is like, I could do that with ChatGPT. Why would I need a product that gives me
I'm
my
sometimes
horoscope?
surprised, even like even when doing this for a living, I'm surprised by how hilarious some ideas are of products. But at the same time, like, fuck it, I'm being paid for this. I don't care if this succeeds or not. Like, I'm being paid for being an engineer and solving a problem.
Yep.
Wherever this makes it to the market or not.
The amazing thing is that it's still like, you think of an idea and it's like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. Especially when it's your own.
It can be my own. But the amazing thing,
Yeah.
something that I want to learn, and I still don't know how to do it. I'm honest here, but there are startups which you look at them and it's like bullshit idea, but they are making millions. They
you'd
have
be surprised
millions.
who their clients are, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was a lesson when I was working for a startup. I was not resonating with the idea itself, but it had millions of users.
On this point, I want to ask, does it have to do with what's the market you land the product on? Because if you take like not cheap, but let's say a poor market where people don't throw money left and right on products, it's kind of hard to come up, like you could have the best idea. It's still not going to work. Whereas if you go on the biggest market on the planet, which is the US market, you can throw any bullshit at them and they will just buy. They'll just spend the money on whatever, which is fascinating. And at the same time, you feel like you're trapped in like a banana country and whatnot. And I guess it forces you to innovate in a way. But at the same time, you're like, fuck, why am I part of this country, part of this environment? And then you're part of some constraints. But also, this is like the beauty of us humans. We don't have a perfect world, perfect life. We're born a certain way in a certain country, speak a certain language, interact with humans around us, form connections, and then we go out there and make an impact. Which is why this podcast even originated, to showcase the best people of Moldova. One of them being the one that I'm talking to right now. Yeah.
Well, I would look at it in a different way. Because what are you saying? And the way I see it, it's all about marketing. Like you choose the market, and the way you market it, the way you sell the problem that you are solving with your startup. And if you find the right customer, the one that has a pain point and your product is solving that pain point, then they're going to pay anything to solve the problem, right?
True. Like
And
you can give a shit on like most customers as long as you have your loyal base.
exactly.
You have your, let's say, your big sharks. You can care less
Yeah.
about the fish in that sense.
And I would say the fact that you're coming from a banana country, how you put it,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to limit you. You have, I mean, there is some plus and minuses, I guess, into that, but I would say we have an advantage. We have the people, indeed. We have the technical resources, and being a small country, you can experiment, fail fast, and then move forward.
What I love about us is because like there's beauty and value in scarcity, in lack of abundance, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that forces people into being more hungry. And like if you put two dogs to fight each other, the hungrier one will always win.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we are the hungry dogs. We are the banana country, which is thriving, which is striving for innovation and whatnot. And because of our limiting factors in many ways, we try to come up with workarounds, ingenious ideas and whatnot. And indeed, people are like the biggest resource you have.
Yes. But still, there is something missing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right. We do have the people. We do have smart engineers. And I know people from Moldova, engineers who work for Meta, Amazon, Google, who graduated from Technical University of Moldova. So that shows how smart our people can be. And if you have the goal, you can go into those big tech and companies. But for me, and what I felt and what I see other people feeling, I feel like we don't know how to make money. You know?
I would say it has to do with the level and the ability of us being able to sell ourselves.
And that including that.
Like
yes.
The best like classical scenario of people being capable of selling themselves, I would say, is the daily stand-up. Like you take the regular daily stand-up, and I'm not sure to what extent you've been part of international teams, but every single time I see Moldovans being part of international teams, the way Moldovans speak about a huge task they did, they speak as if it was nothing.
Yeah.
And the way, let's say, internationals speak about some shit, which doesn't even matter, which amounts for some huge efforts according to how they describe it, gives you a perception of us not being capable of being our own salesman. And I tend to believe you can be your own salesman. Like if you're not capable of selling yourself, then you put yourself in a shitty position or by default, which is not advantageous.
Yeah, you're so right here. And I agree with everything you're saying. And that's something that I've noticed as a student and as an international student, like, because I've been to conferences in Romania, I've lived in UK for almost 1 year. And I can say that our people are very modest. We're too modest.
I think it has to do with how we're educated. Like,
exactly.
Don't go on the spotlight, don't make mistakes, follow the script.
Nobody asked. Why would you share your opinion when nobody asks?
Correct.
Nobody cares.
Correct. Like that's how we were educated, and our parents, I guess, lived in fear for so many years.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I guess it has to do with the deportation as well. Like if you are the smart guy, the one who stood out,
agree.
You were obviously like a threat. So it has to do with that, and I guess we still have like a reminiscence of like leftovers of that way of thinking, and it's persisting in the educational system mostly, which is a crucial aspect of how we educate the next generation, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's selling yourself, selling your idea. It's such a critical skill that we need all to develop. And I think for me, I did develop this skill during university, and I did develop this skill by being in international student organizations. Because, for example, BEST, Board of European Student of Technology, I think while I was a member in the student organization, I traveled in more than 10, 15 countries. And I was in Italy, in Spain, in Belgium, in Poland, and I was looking at different students, how they talk about themselves, about their country, about their organizations, about their university. And you could see this big difference between how we talk about our country and how they talk about their country and what they do. So
we even have this like weird, I mean, I'm not proud of that because I've done that myself a few times, where you have the word Moldovan as an adjective, in a sense of like using it in a way to say how bad things are,
Huh.
as of making a joke. And we're not that nationalist, patriotic to the most part. People are not very patriotic because of how, I guess, the country is run and whatnot. But we dive into politics, which is a whole different Pandora box. But yeah,
I
it's
never looked at this way, being Moldovan. I mean,
no, there's even a phrase like Moldovans, and and we use it in like a way to degrade how bad we do things a lot of the time, especially when it comes to political decisions. Like you fucking, I don't know, you drive a car, right? And you run into a pothole, and then you start fucking like calling everyone names and shit, and then comes down to politics, and then who made these decisions, and then Moldovans. And then you come down to using the word as an adjective to describe like a bad mentality, which isn't applied to like all the people.
Yeah. And I think I live in my own bubble here.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just too optimistic because I don't know. I somehow during my study years, I came to love my country, and maybe I came to love it because of the opportunities I had in this country, how much I've grown, opportunities. I've studied abroad because of opportunities we had in this country.
I started to love it once I started traveling more.
Mm.
I'm like, it's not so bad back home.
Yeah.
The food is great. We have wonderful culture, beautiful country. Only if those dumbasses who govern us would only slightly take care a little bit more about the country than themselves, maybe we would even live like in heaven. But we still have to get to that point, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's how it also started with me while traveling, because I started traveling while a student, going to all this student organization in Europe.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess from that point of time, I knew we have the wine, we have the greatest wine. I knew the tech hub is growing. I was living in my own small bubble with smart engineers, smart people. So I've always, when I was abroad, because I studied in the United States for one semester while I was a student. It was an exchange program.
Yeah.
Then now I studied a master's in the United Kingdom. And usually when you tell people around you that you're from Moldova,
where the fuck is that?
Nobody knows.
I usually, between Romania and Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine, like the war. Oh, yeah, I know what it
now,
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows about Ukraine. Well, later they didn't know, but I've always used that to my advantage because people don't know about Moldova, and I'm putting an image there, what Moldova is like.
Yeah, the same here. Like even like, especially when working with like clients, even from Europe, like I don't know to what extent they have like an image about Moldova, but when I work for them, it's like I represent the fucking country. I need to be assertive. I need to tell them how it is. I don't need to be docile. And this is how some Moldovans think and act like. Yep. And I guess,
And it's more people like that. I find the new generation is coming in, and we have smart people. So,
what's your opinion of the Gen Z?
The new generation.
Yeah, are they weaker? Are they smarter, more courageous? Because what most people say and admit, including our generation, is Gen Zs have less fear towards life. Because they weren't told to follow the script as much as we were told.
It might be true.
Yeah.
So whom would we consider Gen Z then?
Fucking, like, I guess, I don't exactly remember the years because I'm super dumb, but I guess the generation that comes after us, because the generation is like 20 years, like from 20 years to 20 years at least.
Yeah.
And I guess the generation that comes 20 years after us is the Gen Z. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, whatever. Yeah.
So I think the younger generation, I have my younger brother, and the difference between us is 10 years.
Yeah, that would be Gen Z-ish, you could say.
So I can tell you, he's very smart. He's, I know he's correcting me. He's giving me hints. Like when I was thinking, how should I introduce me to this podcast?
Yeah.
Actually, he gave me the idea, start with why. start with what's your purpose, because I was thinking, how do I introduce myself? I do so many things. I'm a product manager. I was a project manager in the past, I do all these things. And he was like, just randomly, I don't know, doing something else and just commenting, just start with why, start with the
Even I
purpose.
was like, this morning I had nothing prepared.
Uh-huh.
Then I pulled some questions, and then turns out those questions went to shit. Like half of them, I
Uh-huh.
just threw them out the window. And I'm like, I need to make this like this is an after hours show. People
Yeah.
come after work, they're tired, they just want to chill, talk about career, but don't get too much into it, although we could.
Mm-hmm.
And since you mentioned wine, we were supposed to drink wine today, but we're fine with still water. We'll do a V2, V3, whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd say smart brother, since you mentioned he gave you the idea of the intro. But what I wanted to say is like with Gen Z, they don't, because like a lot of what we do, like if you want to, let's say, go a little bit outside the tribe, do
Mm-hmm.
slightly something more different, don't follow the script, you almost feel this guilt inside of you as a person. Whereas Gen Z just fucking, oh, this is how it is. I'm just gonna try this and that. And they don't know that there's a limitation, that there's a red line of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
because they were never told that, which is fascinating about them, I would say.
But it's also like a cultural change. We were talking earlier how the culture impacted us in
Yeah.
being a bit more modest in the way how we talk, how we react. And I think this changes with generations, right? So maybe that's it, for us. I mean, from Moldova.
You take a look around, you're like getting old, you look
Mhm.
at the younger people and they're fairly successful, and you're like, the fuck? Like, what did I do wrong at 18, for example? And what could I have done better? Maybe tried. The reality is the point of maximum fear is, or sorry, the point of maximum danger
Mhm.
is the point of minimum fear in a way. So the more you approach stuff you fear or are afraid to try, the
Mhm.
more the level of fear goes down, and the more you feel like you should have always done that since the day one,
Hmm.
which is what I've seen more and more in Gen Z, for example. Even though I am tempted to like, Gen Zs are fucking retards, TikTok style type of people where they dance and do random stupid shit. I keep saying that I am inspired by their level of just fucking trying everything, and whatever works will work, you know? They don't have this like, this is a red line, that's a red line, this is a script you follow, this is a script you don't follow. Like that's what I admire about them.
Do you mean more risk assertive?
Yeah, I would say they take risks without too much concern, I guess. Whereas we calculate everything.
Yeah.
We, I guess, because of how we were educated, slash, I don't know, we try to avoid fuck ups and mistakes,
But I
which
would.
is a human nature
It's a human
instinct.
nature.
At the
Yeah.
same time, it very much was influenced by our elders, which did the same to some extent.
But I think it's also on a cultural level. I think what you're talking and what you're describing for me sounds more like European culture.
Yeah,
Be-
Eastern Europe, I would say.
yeah, in general, Europe. I think Europe for me is more all about rules, and you have to follow that script
Yeah,
and rules.
especially if you
And
take like fucking Germany, like there's a rule for everything there.
exactly. And when you describe the vibe of Gen Z, for me, it's like, well, you're describing the vibe of Silicon Valley, where there are a lot of startups,
Oh, but
like,
even Moldova, you take like the Gen Z here. Yeah, they're retards in many ways. There's many of them doing that stupid shit, but at the same time, there's also many of them trying out new stuff, the stuff that's the new school. And you look at them and you're like, fuck, I'm old school already. I need
mhm.
to upgrade my skills. I need to upgrade the approach that I take when it comes to life, career, and whatnot. And that's inspiring, I guess. You always need to change. It's a normal
Well,
process of life.
well, I hope one day we will see more startups in Moldova, because
Yeah,
if,
that's also growing actually.
yeah, I think slowly. I wish I could see more startups in here. But to build startups, to start a startup, you need that risk
There's only one
assertiveness.
problem with that, I would say. And the problem is you need to follow the money, right?
Mm.
So the problem is, again, the market. Like, what's your market when you open a start? Like, are you targeting, because like 90% of our IT services, I would say, are international exported services.
Yeah, even
So
more.
there's not a lot, like even more, like I would even argue 98% maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to say that we like don't build stuff for the local market unless it's governmental services and I don't know, local shops and stuff like that, which is like insignificant and
And I think
statistically.
it's fine because we have a small market here.
Correct. And that I was gonna say that's the problem with like more startups is
Mhm.
when you refer to the word startup, you either like yes, of course, you can go target for example, the European audience
Yeah.
market or the US market, but you still need like the resources for the startup, right? You need to start somewhere, you need to get funds and all that. And it's easier to get funds, for example, if you have like an established American company, you go talk to investors there, you pitch your ideas and whatnot. Whereas if you're from some banana country nobody heard about, and to them it's kind of risky to invest in a way. And there's always, of course, workarounds like opening shell companies and whatnot, making yourself more credible
Mhm.
for them. But at the same time, you still have this problem, which is why not a lot of startups originate here.
Again, I will be more optimistic. I think, yes, investments is a big challenge. You need investment, but the way I see it, I feel government is now doing all kind of initiatives. There are some investment just to bootstrap your idea and start with it. But all the startups we see nowadays, I think everyone is building for the global market. No
Yeah,
one.
that's how I bought my first MacBook. It was it hack corruption, I believe. That was like a hackathon and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And you and I are both like involved heavily in hackathons ever since
I
university.
think you participated, I organized.
Yeah. So I participated in one. I think we were supposed to build like a software for National Center of Anti-Corruption.
Mhm.
Eventually it went to shit, but at least we got ourselves like a nice new MacBook, which was like huge when you were a student. Everyone was having like a
Mhm.
shitty Asus, but you were like the guy with a
Oh
MacBook,
wow.
like premium shit. Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I think government being more involved maybe helps with startups and whatnot.
Yes, yeah. And hackathons are great because you learn. But the problem I see with hackathons is that it's a one time prize. And I wish we could see more startup accelerators. I know we do have some programs,
Yeah.
but when you have a startup accelerator, so imagine you go into accelerator, which takes, let's say, 3 months, and then you get the money to actually develop your idea, to
But
continue
again,
working on it.
you mentioned money.
Yes.
Problem is, where do you get the money from? Because if you say, okay, it's going to be grants from the European Union, fine, but they're usually limited, and they usually like when you make up like the spending for, like, if they're grants, they're probably given for a direction. Let's say if the direction is IT sector, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if the direction is more like, I don't know, like it's more generic, then the government will pick whatever they think has more priority or whatever,
So,
and a smaller portion of those money will come. The other, I guess, source of money would be investors, and we run into the same. Like, I hate to be the pessimist, but I guess I'm a realist, and I realize, like,
so
yeah,
we are
money.
talking about funds, investors, but you can also find the clients yourself and
True,
bootstrap.
true.
So you remember when I was saying in the beginning that one thing that I feel is missing, and it's missing for me, is we don't know how to make money. So that's what I meant. Like, you have an idea, you're very strong, you have the technical background, you have the engineering background, and now you launch the product. Now, how do you attract your first paying customer? That's marketing, that's business development, that's sales, that's all of those things. Because I think we should not limit ourselves. I think that's a lot of people think like that. I was thinking like that I need funds, I need investors. No, you have TikTok. There are a lot of people, like, you can sell and talk about your ideas. And TikTok is great, apparently, for promoting and to get the views, to get, initial leads. You can, I don't know, go on Instagram. If you have a B2B product, go on LinkedIn and find those clients, and you can just bootstrap your idea.
Yeah,
So that's what I said. That's what I meant when I said that, we don't know how to make the money. I feel
true.
that's what's missing.
I think we have an outdated thinking system of how financials work.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, we are financially illiterate as a country. which I think we should work on more and more. At the same time, we should follow the trends, right? We should see what's popping, what's the new strategy to make money online, as you mentioned, and through other different means.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of sales, I noticed you have like a sales background.
Yeah, I've worked in sales.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you agree with the following statement.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, like, there's a saying that the hardest thing to sell to anyone is Windows? And I don't mean the operating system, I mean actual Windows.
I don't know why would that be hard to
So
sell.
the reason why would that be the hardest sale to close is because everybody already fucking has Windows. So there's no immediate urgent need. Like who are you going to suggest Windows to?
Exactly, that's the
Like
basic question.
the only people needing Windows are real estate developers, and they already fucking have contracts for years ahead with window developers. So if you're like a producer who makes Windows, like how do you even start marketing that shit?
So that's very good questions you are there. And that's, I think, the core, because you need to find the person who has the pain point. So I think for me, that's how sales works, and that's how marketing works hand in hand. You need to find the users, the customer who has the pain point, who needs your product. And perhaps for somebody who really needs Windows, who has a broken window or something.
Yeah, but no, those are rare cases. I mean, let me put it this way. So especially like with the online trends, when you see people trying to sell products online, they try to create some kind of immediate urgency.
Yeah, like, that's one of the strategies.
You didn't have this problem, but now you do because I told you have the problem, and now you should buy my product. Or maybe you wasn't aware you had the problem, and now you should buy my product. How do you fucking do that with Windows, though? Like you have a functional window you can open, close.
But what if it's like, I don't know, a rainbow window that gives you rainbow colors and, I don't know, gives you warmth in the house? It depends.
Unless it's fucking using AI.
Yeah, like what if it's AI windows? I could sell that.
Yeah, that's...
I go on, collaborate with some influencers, give it for free for influencers. That's how I think nowadays works sales and marketing.
Yeah, like more on the AI. Like I didn't want to open the Pandora box now, but since I mentioned it myself, I'm gonna ask, like, because I see this trend and I'm super against trends in general. Like, does every fucking product in 2025 need AI? Like, you have normal functioning products that didn't even need AI to begin with, like my fucking washing machine, for example. There's no need for you to put the fucking label AI, bubble, AI, whatever, because there's no AI there. It's just a fucking... I don't believe there's AI in my machine, although it says some AI shit.
Really?
Or AI on, I don't know, the fucking cooler on my PC. Like there's no AI there. It's just fucking detecting if it's getting hot, then let me spin this off a little bit harder and whatnot. Like, what's your opinion on this topic? Like, do all products need to jump on this hype train of AI? AI this, AI that, unless we don't use that, we're not trendy, meaning we're not popular, meaning we're probably having some customers lost to some other competitors.
I think products need AI if AI can help you somewhere.
Yeah, but do all products need AI?
I cannot think of a product that wouldn't need AI.
Like, for example, these speakers you see, do they need AI? Like, I'm a manufacturer, let's say I'm Yamaha or I am KRK, I am manufacturing speakers. Unless we're talking about the companion app for tweaking the speakers and whatnot, even though I still don't see how I'm going to use AI there. Like, do I need AI as this producer, for example?
I would put some AI into the speakers.
What would be the features?
A voice assistant. I don't know, louder, lower, just to control, the volume.
Yeah, but wouldn't by definition you doing that by extension it would make the product more expensive, because now you'd have to install some kind of Wi-Fi module. Now you'd have to have the possibility to do some firmware updates and whatnot, shit like that.
I would do that if I see the risk that I can lose my customers. So imagine there is my competitor who's doing that, and everyone, like, it comes to the user, what user wants,
Yeah.
And if I see I'm losing users because the users love the voice function and they like to use voice instead of their fingers, and I'm losing my customer base, then I would invest. You know, it's the same story. The Canon story, the Kodak story. You know, it's the Kodak story. Do you know the
I
story?
know, but I think it was overhyped. Like, look at how Kodak was the big G in the market, and then they lost it all. Or look how Nokia didn't want to adjust, and then they lost the market. I read those stories. In general, they are true. Like, if you do not adapt to the change, it's basic Darwinism 101. Like, if you do not adapt, you will perish through some kind of way. I agree with that. At the same time, I mean, I love AI. Don't get me wrong. I love AI for what it is, for the fact that you can boost productivity, you can prototype ideas, you can have like a roadmap. I want it to go here or there. Then I can take control, take the wheel from that point. At the same time, I think the hype train is there. I think people overhype it. Like, again, I hate being like the pessimist here, but I think that is happening. Like, if you scroll LinkedIn, for example, there is a huge amount of engagement bait on AI being this, AI being that, it taking our jobs and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know.
It is hyped. I agree with that. It is hyped, but it's hyped because you talk about AI and everyone is listening to you. You talk about AI and everyone wants to read your post. Okay, what is he or she talking about, you know? So in the end, with the products is the same. Like, I would ask myself, if I'm building a product, would AI help my user? Would the user have some benefits if I integrate AI within the product? Would that help? Would that make my product more attractive for the paying customers?
Yeah, but that was my initial question. Do all products need AI? And I'm ready to make a bet on like $1,000 that we can build a product from scratch which doesn't need AI at all. We're talking like about a software product. We're building the software product. It doesn't need AI at all. We'll figure out the use case, and we're just putting AI in there because it's trendy. And I guarantee you it's going to spike its sales just because we use the AI, even though people don't even fucking use it. Like, we could track, let's say, the usage of that feature. People will most likely not use it, but the fact that we put the label AI on it, it's already more attractive.
And I think people are doing that. I think there are companies out there who just do that because it's trendy, it looks good in your marketing campaign, and there are like use cases where AI doesn't really help, but I agree with the fact that there are companies doing that. But I think it's about the approach you take on how you use AI, how you integrate AI. How did you came to the idea that we need AI or not? So,
right, but at the same time, I feel like there's this, like, people don't want to, there's FOMO. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term. Yeah, like, there's FOMO everywhere, especially when it comes to it. Like, if you're the fucking company having a product, being on the market, having a customer base which is loyal to you, and you don't fucking shove AI down their throat, you're probably not doing the right thing. Like, that's the perception out there. And that's what, like, normal customers keep complaining about that, myself included. Like, the fucking product is great. Just leave it as it is. No need to shove AI down our throats. Like we didn't need it. So how about you just keep it the same? And I feel like there's like companies trying to show other companies that, hey, we're also using AI, even though we don't fucking need it.
Yeah, I think you might be right in some measurements perhaps, but it's not every single use case. And it really depends on the product. It really depends on the use case. Take, for example, Google. Okay, right. Big example. You've noticed the AI feature they integrated. And I think it's a very good move. They did that and they needed to do that because they were losing customers and they're going to lose more.
Yeah, especially their fuck up with Gemini initially.
Yeah, that too. But did you see the news? ChatGPT launched their own browser.
Yeah.
But Google were losing their customers over Perplexity, which was using AI, and it was better for doing research, and you just write your question and it gives you the direct answer. You don't have to open like multiple tabs. So what they did, they saw like, we need to do that because we're losing customers. So that was a need. And now I see they have this new AI mode which also does that. But now ChatGPT launched their browser, so it's getting interesting.
Yeah, I
So
see a
it
lot
really-
of influencer promoting this perplexity thing. At
Have
the
you
sa-
used it?
I have not. Let's just say I'm waiting for the hype to settle a little bit. I don't immediately use everything that's coming out. I guess I don't want to be the lab rat in a way.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, because I'm super against trends, unless it's something that I don't know, like even the fucking grandma from Moldova will come and say, "Hey, you're missing out. You're living under a rock." Probably I will not use it.
But it's not only, you don't use a tool because it's hyped. Like I used it because it's been helpful for me.
But
And
I don't feel like that's my point. I don't yet feel the need of automation to certain processes. Like, uh, you know what my problem is? Because you mentioned like it giving you this instant feedback in one place. You don't have to leave. You don't have to context switch and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's the you could say the same about an IDE, like which is true to the most part. Like with co-pilots and whatnot being integrated into IDEs, you don't have to leave the IDE. It gives you auto completion, gives you
Mhm.
suggestions, codes,
Mhm.
and everything like that. At the same time, my problem with it is hallucinating. So you now need to do two jobs. You need to first make sure it writes the thing which is supposed to write, and then check that the thing that it gave you is actually correct. It actually runs, because sometimes it just gives you stuff which is rubbish and it doesn't compile or whatever. And you're like, wasn't it easier if I was just gonna fucking go check the docs and do it myself and maybe use the auto completion when I'm
So I
writing the
think
code?
this is where Perplexity solved a bit the problem, because what it does, so it gives you the answer, but it also gives you the source where each of the information from each sentence was
Right,
taken
right.
from. So basically, you can go and check and double check all that information.
Sometimes
Is it
sometimes even that is bullshit. Like I'm checking the source, and maybe the source used a certain keyword in like I don't know, as a joke,
Mhm.
but the AI thought it's used as something serious.
Well,
Like it depends very much on the context of where certain, because again it's working based on text. Like it scans the
yes.
internet. Okay, I see some text here and there. I have some matches. Okay, let me cross-reference this and give you the sources. And maybe it didn't take the full context into the picture, and now you have sources which weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
But let me tell you that that's the new reality we live in.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is a new skill I think we will need to adapt to and we will need to learn, because wanted it not or not, AI is part of our life and it's going to be here. And we need to evolve and to adapt to this new reality. And what you're talking about, like the critical thinking, this is a new critical skill everyone will need in this new reality.
About the critical thinking, do you think as LLMs progressed,
Mhm.
as we get more and more of them, companies build like race for who got the best LLM? Then China comes out with their own, and like countries race for this. Do you think in the process of us using LLMs, we tend to outsource the most valued skill, which is critical thinking, to the LLMs, and as a result, we become dumber?
I don't think we outsource the critical thinking. How can you outsource that?
I will give you an example.
Yeah, give me one.
It's especially like a challenge for juniors. Again, how do you even become a senior with critical skills in the first place? You stumble across problems. You I don't know, bang your head across the wall a few times in the not literal sense of the
Mhm.
word, and then you realize, okay, there's this problem, I've hit this and that problem. You recognize some patterns, and then there's value in struggling to find solutions to the problem. Now you remove the struggle away because you have this super quick a sense of accomplishment. It's like dopamine from like social media. Immediate response, immediate solution, build this in 5 minutes, build that. And then you lose the process of getting to that result. As a result, because and that's what I call outsourcing your critical thinking. Like you're outsourcing the forensics of the journey, if you will, of coming to that solution. And then it gets so detrimental to the point where you no longer can distinguish whether the solution which AI gave you is a good one or there's more optimal ones, or maybe I can correct the drift slightly so that it gives me a better solution. Like you don't zoom out. Like you constantly zoom in because you're on this fast running pace, like the hamster wheel, if you will. Give me this feature, give me that feature. And you don't notice how you slowly but surely outsource your entire critical thinking.
So the way I would put it, there are a couple of thoughts I have to what you just shared. The way I would put it, I don't think that we necessarily get dumber, but maybe there is a risk of us getting a bit lazy in how we do our work. And I was saying earlier that how important is it to develop your critical thinking because of hallucinations that AI can make. And I think I can see your point, but I think what we are actually outsourcing to the AI is the routine tasks.
True.
Is that like writing a report for me?
For me, that's
text.
the case, because I know how the fucking shit should look like.
Exactly.
Do it for me.
Exactly. So that's very important.
But for a junior, for example, for them it doesn't make a difference whether they have the routine task automated or the entire critical thinking skill. For them, it's a new journey. They haven't experienced critical thinking to a certain extent.
So you're talking a very
specific they equate the same thing to, okay, it's fast, because managers push this idea of fast delivery. I want to be fast. I don't want to struggle. We tend to look for the easiest path as humans in general. So they just pick this idea.
So you're talking a very specific use case I see here about developers, junior developers, right?
True.
Coding. Okay. So that's indeed a challenge. I think for juniors, it's a challenge because as a senior or middle developer, or even not necessarily developer, a product manager, whatever your role is, you know what the results should look like, right?
Correct.
And you will just use AI as an assistant or use AI to augment your work. And you know what the results, and you just double check everything is correctly. You're more like a manager. You're managing the AI itself. But for juniors, that's a bit the tricky part. And I think that's also a bigger problem. I see it a bigger problem. And it's something that maybe universities should jump in to tackle, and also companies should understand and tackle that in a way that, there still needs to be somebody to teach those juniors to.
Yeah, that's like the reason I ask of everyone about juniors is because we've reached a path. We reached like a certain almost where we burn the bridges, and there's like a big disconnect between like the skilled people, which, as you mentioned, use AI to augment their work. And there's like a huge disconnect between us, which are just getting better at what we're doing because routine is being outsourced, and the people that actually have to experience some kind of struggle in order for them to learn how to critically think. And I see this as a problem because at some point, us, the seniors, will want to pass down our job to the next generation. And the question is, who is the next generation? How capable is the next generation? How are we passing it down to the next generation? Like, it's a problem which universities face, which the educational system faces, and even we face, because a lot of the times, at some point, companies will want to hire juniors, primarily because of the cost. Like, they're super cheap, right? But then you have to, somebody has to take care of them, right?
There are two sides here. So one, I would say that let's not forget, I think AI is also good for learning and training. So as a junior, you can use AI to learn. And I've seen that. I've seen like junior people doing that. On the other side, the question is, do you really think companies will need juniors when you can have an AI doing the work?
On that, you open the Pandora box. So another one within another one.
Yeah.
So I was reading a post, don't even remember, on LinkedIn. It was either yesterday or the day before yesterday. And there was a person, he stated something super bold. And he said, if you're a client looking for IT services, we are a company and we can take your project from being developed from, let's say, 9 months and bring it down to 3 months, thanks to AI assisted development.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, to what extent is that engagement bait / marketing / client bait, and to what extent that is actually true? Because from my, let's say, development perspective, I wouldn't say the productivity is that drastic. I can say it's, let's say 20-30% maybe, but it's not 50 to 60% as the guy put it.
I believe this can be true. And let me ask you that. Have you tried any no-code tools?
Oh,
You tried
like, give me an
Lovable,
example. And maybe
Lovable, Cursor.
I didn't want to try Cursor for one particular reason, because it's an IDE and not an LLM. And I already sold my soul to another company.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way. And I don't want to like give up on all the cool tools. I'm happy with Copilot. It's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And if I need to like do, let's say, have different other tabs and chats, I can even deploy my fucking Olama and install any model I want to. Or I can pay a subscription for any other model. That's what I don't like about Cursor, because it's VS Code. It's cool, but no thanks. I'm JetBrains fan.
Okay. What about Lovable? Did you try it?
I only heard of it.
Okay.
Haven't tried it.
I mean, I would recommend you going there. You would be surprised. I was surprised. I'm a big Lovable fan.
Here's my question to all of these tools is how much you can push the envelope when it comes to these tools is my question. Because I'm a developer, and I will push it to the limits. And there are limits. And that is my problem with those tools.
Yes, there are limits, of course. There are limitations. For now, these tools are growing so fast. And like myself, like I'm having some problems also. I use Lovable. I told you about my startup journey.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Lovable somehow also encouraged me to develop the first MVP. And I have some products. I build games in Lovable. I build platforms like performance trackers and job tracker application, etc., AI products, all with Lovable. It still has limitation. I'm having still troubles with multi-user platforms with different user profiles. But me, myself, I don't write code, right? I'm not an engineer, a programmer. I know some terms. I know what it's an API. I know how a database works. And somehow with Lovable, it's so easy and you don't need any experience in programming or coding.
I think these tools bring value, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the initial phases of a product. And when the product is relatively simple. However, the moment you hit the road bumps, or the first road bumps, is when you start telling the AI, hey, I want this entire thing you built for me the other day, and I want to modify this slight thing over here. That's when my problem, and that's where my frustration comes in. Well, because it breaks a ton of other things.
Yes, you have the right to have that frustration. But the way I see things, so first time when I tried Lovable, and it made it so easy for me. And you just write a prompt, you wait a couple of minutes, and you have the fully built app, which you can preview and just launch it. My first thought was, what are junior developers going to do?
Yeah, because that's a good question.
It makes it so easy to build the first MVP. And that's what I did. I have multiple MVPs, only MVPs. Yes, it's still challenging with tools like that to scale a full application. You need multi-user, you need, I don't know, maybe you have hundreds or thousands of users and you need like a database, a scalable one, you need a product that is secure and all that. But I don't need a junior for that. I'm going to hire a middle or a senior developer, and I'm going to give him big money just to.
This is what I noticed, like, especially with startups that are already launched on the market, is they have like a shitty implementation, which works. For some reason, they like threw the rod fish, they catch the fish, which is the client. And they're like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to hire a senior now, hire a team. And this is a good way to launch on the market. But to add maybe insult to the injury when it comes to juniors, I would say nobody fucking looks for juniors nowadays. Like if you take a look at the brutal current job market, everybody's looking for seniors because there's so many of them. And everyone's looking for jobs. And there's like even a desperate label on LinkedIn, looking for a job, desperate for a job.
Might be because of AI as well.
To what extent do you think that's due to AI? Because I've heard different opinions, even from data scientists. Some say yes, to some extent. Others say no, this is bullshit. people are still looking for jobs and there's employers out there?
So I'm going to talk now from my own experience as a startup builder, because I started my startup and I used a no-code tool to build the MVP. And I told you, I did everything myself. And I have a working MVP. I have a website, everything I put all together. And my way of thinking was, yes, this works. This is fine for an MVP to go there and find the first paying customers. And Lovable makes it even easier because you can easily integrate like a paying API and you can like have paying customers. And the way I thought about it as a startup founder, right? I'm establishing my own company and I'm thinking, I don't need junior. I need someone who is a middle or a senior who can fix everything that AI did, who can like scale this app, So that's how I'm thinking. And of course, this makes everything challenging for junior developers.
But that's like saying, that is like men saying, we don't need women. We no longer need to reproduce, At some point, you will run out of people who reproduce. It's the same here. Like, we need to pass down the flag to the next generation at some point. And of course, you can do it by using AI to learn how to get there. But the truth is, you don't get there because people, when you hire somebody, you obviously want to hire somebody with experience. Exactly. But how the fuck do you get experience if nobody hired you before? It's like the chicken egg problem.
Yes, it is a problem like that. And yes, it's going to be challenging for junior developers, but I think that doesn't mean the end of software engineers. And
true.
I think we're going to readapt to this new reality. And I think junior developers, they're going to find new ways to develop their skill. And I have my younger brother, he's second year in university.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him, this is the advice I would give to every junior developer. Go to hackathons, build pet projects. That's your experience. Build a startup, like every project. And there is way where you as a junior developer can build that experience. And you have a portfolio of pet projects. Let's say you have some experience in a startup, which I don't know, you didn't launch, but you've learned a lot, you integrated some APIs and stuff like that. So I think the juniors also need to readapt, but I also met companies. I did talk about this topic with some CEOs and CTOs of big firms that we have in Moldova. And they also realized that it's a tough environment for junior devs. However, they have this purpose and they still have the internships as a way for juniors to develop because, as you said, they understand at some point we will need new blood coming in.
Correct,
at some point we will need new developers.
Yeah, I would say if you're a junior and you're watching this, the more and the quicker you realize you're actually competing with seniors as compared to 5 years ago, the quicker and the faster your chances are to succeed. So I will say that if you want to be a junior and you want to enter the game, you have to be a fucking exceptional one.
But still, there is hope. I think I would encourage juniors and everyone to use AI.
But you mentioned this new thing we'll have to adapt to. I would say I have a more pessimistic view of what's actually going to happen. I am expecting some kind of new big depression. I don't know, some kind of economical collapse.
Oh.
I am also expecting... I see a lot of shit piling up. And you also confirmed it yourself when you said like, oh, I need a senior now because I've done some shit. It works. I got some clients. Now I need somebody to fix this shit. That is exactly my point. Like when you take that and you multiply it to millions of people who are building shit, a lot of shit will pile up. And that's where I come in as an expert, as somebody who's been on the market. Let me fix your shit. Or at some point, maybe mediocrity will stop. Like we're collecting a bunch of mediocrity now, I would say, due to AI, due to everybody's being an expert in everything. And then at some point we'll reach, I think we've already reached this AI hype capacity in a way, in the sense that, yes, we've built amazing technologies, LLMs, things that recognize what we want, give us somewhat what we want and whatnot. At the same time, we've kind of reached the ceiling. Like this is the glass ceiling. You cannot break through. Like it makes mistakes. and it's good, it gets really good, then it fucks up one time, it's fucking bad. And
Never know.
and you don't fully trust it as you might wish to do.
Mhm.
And that's where experts come in. And for us, it's like super chill. It's like we're living life, like we're doing what we've done before. We're more productive. We're using all these tools, and juniors can compete with us. At the same time, there's fucking juniors. Like somebody needs to take our place at some point. Like there's a problem. There's a disconnect between us doing the
Mhm.
job and the future people who will be doing the job. So yeah, I ask this everyone. I'm just curious how they think, what's their idea, solution to this problem, because somebody has to pick it up.
So I want to give you one example on the fact that we are adapting to this new reality. So lately on LinkedIn, I see a lot of people, they are lovable developers where I help scale
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
lovable app. So that's what I mean. That's just one example on how we're adopting. And I see your point there. I think what's actually happening in the market is things are happening too fast in a small period of time. So this is what's happening. It's the market is disrupted by AI. That's true, and we've seen disruptions like that in the past with calculator in the school. I remember reading somewhere how everyone was panicking that now our kids will be dumb because uh, they won't know how to do calculations, math calculation.
Right.
But look where it took us. We can do more advanced calculations, right?
Yeah.
The same disruption we had with internet, with personal computers. So it's the same. But I think what's different this time is that everything is happening so fast. And we need just more time to adapt to this reality. And we need perhaps some policies, something on AI ethics, because this is another area and another thing that is happening. And yeah, you're right about maybe the economy will change, the jobs will change. Some jobs will definitely disappear,
Yeah.
but others will appear. Look at AI prompt engineer. It wasn't there.
I'm still a huge, like, I'm a non-believer in that idea because, yeah, you can do prompt engineering and whatnot, but I
But
don't know.
it's real. There are jobs out there. If you do a job search, there is companies
True,
looking for
true.
prompt engineering. And recently, I even saw on our own market, no code engineer, like somebody to work with no
Yeah,
code
like I
tools.
wanted to touch on that when you mentioned like this and that no code engineer. I wanted to mention like I think I've received one or two such offers,
Mhm.
and every single time I take them as an insult. Like, no thanks. You want me to be a monkey job type of guy, and I don't want to be that. Like, I want to use my actual critical thinking skills. Of course, I'm gonna use LLMs. Of course, I'm gonna delegate the routine tasks to LLMs. At the same time, I don't want to be the monkey who's prompt engineering. I want to be the guy who thinks.
What makes you think that the fact that you use LLMs and no code
No,
would?
no, no. Don't get me wrong. I love using LLMs.
Mhm.
I outsource my routine tasks to LLM.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, I'm not going to let the LLM take the decision of what should be the solution to a specific problem. So if I have to solve a problem, I
Mhm.
may ask the LLM, how do you want to solve this problem? He may give me some answers. Some of them are bullshit. I'll filter out the bullshit. I'll take what I want. And then I'll maybe outsource some of the routine tasks.
Mhm.
But I am doing the process myself. Like, I'm going to say, no, this is bullshit. No, I'll take that one. No, give me this one, implement that. It's like sitting over somebody's shoulder and telling him what to do. You're not doing the job, but at the same time, you're the one telling him what to do. So if it wasn't for you, the guy you're giving instructions to would have done a shit job. But because you were like hinting instructions, you're
Mhm.
productive. You're not doing the work yourself. At the same time, he would not have been able to do what you did because of the instructions you gave him. So I like using them. I'm not saying they're not useful. At the same
Mhm.
time, I take the decisions, and we engineers, we pride ourselves in being the people who are the critical thinkers, the solution providers. And if you remove that aspect away, you lose the dignity of, okay, what the fuck am I doing? Like, if like it comes down to like you become the routine yourself. Like, you're just prompting and shit. Like, this is the right prompt, this is the wrong prompt. Oh, let's pray to the LLM gods. please fix this code. Like there are people who like write that on our.
So would you say you use AI to help you as an assistant, let's say, in writing the code?
It depends on the problem I'm trying to solve. So let's say I've like through experience and trying it out, I've come to understand what problems it can solve really well and what problems it goes sideways right away. So I know if there's like, I want to implement an algorithm, probably it already knows about that algorithm and it's super easy to translate it to any language. If I have, I don't know, I want to optimize some query, I can give him, hey, here's the query, here's what I want it to be. It can do it, right? But the more, let's put it the other way, the less business context of a problem it has, the more it's going to go sideways. Sometimes you're restricted. Sometimes you can't give it the full context, but you still need some kind of a solution. Other times, you might give it like the full context, but it still might pick up not the most optimal solution. And that's what I come in. That's what I say, okay, I think this is bullshit. I'm still going to do it this way. And then I say, this is actually not efficient. And then he's like, oh yeah, you're actually right.
So it seems to me that you've experimented with AI and you know how to use it and how it would work for you, right? For use case. And I think this is such a critical skill to learn, especially in this new reality. Okay, so I'm calling all this AI, everything that is happening around us, a new reality.
Right.
And you're giving just the example of an engineer. But I think this is new reality to which every profession needs to adapt in the near future. And I think this is what makes you as a professional stand out in the future. Because if you know how to correctly use AI, then you can deliver faster, maybe. You can, I don't know, be more proficient in your work than someone who does not use it and struggles, and that's not only for engineers. I think in the future, like 5-10 years, we look ahead, everyone will need the skill into how to use AI into their job as a lawyer, accountant.
Yeah, we'll kind of reach the same point where you remember the times when like our grandparents, they not only did not want to, but weren't comfortable using cell phones. Now every one of them is like on fucking TikTok.
Oh, yes.
Watching posts, liking shit. And yeah, we slowly evolved to that period. And I think it's going to be somewhat of the same with AI.
Yep.
Slower or faster. Like there are industries which are faster demanding of using AI and whatnot. And there are industries that are slower. But eventually everybody's like fucking LLMing their way into their job. Some jobs, as you said, will disappear.
Yes.
And I really like how one of my guests said, like jobs that almost feel mechanical and routine based.
Yeah.
Those will most likely disappear. And jobs that require creativity / the ability to make decisions, those will still be kept.
Critical thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, that's so true. And going back, not sure if we should go there, like what you read on LinkedIn, is it possible from 9 months to go to 3 months in delivering a product? I
would say there's a lot of fucking variables. Like it's too generic of a statement.
But I think that's possible. And I do have an example. Like this summer, I did a research on how you as an IT firm can use AI for competitive advantage. So I got to talk with 8 different CEOs, CTOs of IT firms on how they use IT. And that's actually one of the stories that I've heard. And like one of the companies was telling me, look, we were able to deliver faster. And because we deliver it faster, it required less man days. So the costs, of course, there are costs that for AI, for LLMs and so on, but still the costs were lower for them. So we offered a discount for our client. So this is the competitiveness part, right? The client will go to the one who gives a better offer. And I asked them, obviously, how did you do that? How did you reach that? And that's because of AI. And because, so they have a very interesting structure. Their are adapting their business model to the new reality. So basically, you don't have a team of 10 engineers as traditional software development will work, but they have less developers, and each developer, each software engineer, they have a team of agentic AI under them.
Yeah.
So basically, like you mentioned it, you know what the code should look like. And basically from a developer who writes the routine code, the basic front end page, or I don't know what type of code you write, you become more like a manager of your AI team, and you'll just review code and take decisions and critically analyze everything that AI gave you. And you become faster when you have a team of AI agent. And it's the same team, but there is like a team lead or manager of AI, software engineer. There is another one. A QA also has a couple of agents. A designer has a couple of agents. So by adapting this new team model, they were able to save on cost, and they were able to give a discount to their client. And I mean, for me, it seems reasonable.
It's a competitive edge. I do agree.
Yes. It's hard to implement, though. There are so many things you need to take into account.
Yeah, since I'm the skeptical guy here, the pessimist, if you will, the one who sees the glass half empty, I'm going to say I would really need to see how the measurement was done and how much time is actually spent on doing it versus correcting what you did. And the other very important thing I wanted to point out on this note is you're assuming the competitor is not using AI, which is false from the very get-go. Like everyone is to some extent using AI in most of the fields, whether it's front end, back end, DevOps. Like most of the people, whether you have agentic AI, agents, automated processes, will use AI to some extent. The difference is like companies that let's say optimize for that, they will have an edge. The question is how big of a difference is that edge? If that edge is 20% more, let's say cheaper, maybe that's not an edge. Maybe that's not a big deal for some companies, some clients. If it's like a super small startup and they want to cut corners on every single cost they have, maybe that's an edge. Like it very much depends like who you're targeting by doing that.
Yeah, and it's very important, not that you use AI, but how do you use it? How do you implement it? Like, how are you adapting your whole business model around this? Because you're right, you're giving a point here. It's really not about using AI, because what I found in my research is that everyone is using AI.
Correct.
Everyone is investing in subscription to ChatGPT. Everyone is giving their developers LLMs, but that doesn't really give you a competitive advantage. And what does give you a competitive advantage is how you use that and how you adapt your whole company culture and your whole business model around it.
I would agree with the idea of if you're a company that efficiently optimizes and has like a streamlined process around AI, agents and whatnot, then you might actually be ahead of most companies.
Yep.
What I would argue is by how far. That's my, I guess, skepticism. Is like if you mentioned 20-30%, pretty good for you. If you're like 60-70%, I'm like, yeah, but we need to like add in all the variables. Like what makes a project complex, for example. Like let's start there. Like what makes a product complex in the first place? And if you take that project and give it to AI agents, yes, people like those agents will do the job and whatnot, but you'll have to supervise them. Now, part of the supervision process is how much of those 8 hours, which you would have used LLM anyway, are you spending only validating and saying good, bad, fix this, versus bad, oh, good. Now you have like what's the ratio of the good stuff that it generates and the ratio of the bad stuff, which you have to LLM your way back into fixing it.
Well, the way AI works, perhaps in the beginning, it's going to be more challenging because AI also learns from experience. So if you spend more time in the beginning, perhaps correcting it and just, adjusting it to the way you want that result to look like. So it's going to take obviously more time, and the costs are going to be higher to train an AI model. But eventually, I think when AI gets better and AI learns better, the costs are going to be lower for you. So that's when you gain that competitive advantage.
True. Like, I lean towards the fact that the IT market will not be the same. It will adapt. Companies that don't want to catch up will be forced to catch up.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't believe it's going to adapt to that big of a ratio as some, let's put it, AI optimists are calling it out. Yeah, it's going to be a percentage, of course. It's gonna drop the price significantly for, let's say, small to medium businesses, but it's not going to be such a big drop for huge businesses that already have seniors doing stuff.
Like, I would challenge that opinion.
Again, I would really like, I'm all for that idea. What I would love to see is a project from the discovery phase, you talk to the client, till the time you launch on the market. And I would love to see like a parallel, a team using LLMs as they please, as they choose so, and then a team using this agentic AI, and have a team slashed in half. I want to see like the difference between the two. And then I can tell, okay, this actually makes sense. Maybe we should invest in this. But if you take a project only that was done using this, let's call it AI assisted development, where you have half the team size and you validate them, but you don't actually show all the problems with it. You don't show like maybe the business context is not so complex. Maybe it's something simple. Maybe it's like building a website, a WordPress, or maybe it's like stuff that's way too much of a routine and it's been done so many times that it's easy to automate. Like there's things that are easy to automate and things that are really hard to automate due to very specific, let's say, business context or problems that require human decisions and a lot of revalidation and whatnot. I would call those as context that is more hard for the AI to figure out on its own. And even if you get involved, you'll have to do a lot of course correction, which is my problem to begin with. Whereas if I validate, okay, I love this roadmap, I'll just pick this and that, I'll copy paste it, and then give me something else, I'll copy paste it, and then I'll do like a dry run, try test that, okay, everything works, it's validated.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering what's the difference between this approach where I'm just picking and choosing, cherry picking in a way, versus where you have like super autonomous agentic mode and you're just validating check marks. This is good, this is good, this is not good.
You touched on a couple very important, challenging things here. I think you mentioned context. So that's very important. Like the company I talked with and told me about this model where they were able to save on costs, for example, they were doing machine learning before AI was a hype and before Gen AI was growing big, so they were doing machine learning before that. They had their models trained on their own code base. They had their processes. So before reaching this stage, ideal stage, which I'm talking about, it takes a lot of investment, and that's time, that's money, that's people. You need training to train
Somebody
your model.
has to be the lab rat. That's my point.
Perhaps, but there is another big challenge that companies are facing nowadays, and that's client skepticism and data privacy. Because
I wanted to touch on that, like data security and data privacy.
Yeah, data privacy is a big one. And from my research, talking with local companies, because everyone is working with European clients, big clients, and for them, data is very important. In general, Europe is making it very hard for you to process data. You have so many laws to comply with, taking GDPR and...
Yeah, you mentioned startups in the very beginning, and I was like, do you remember the times when we had like antiviruses and there was like a huge wave of people or companies building it? It's like the same here. Like there's like a huge race for AI. And on the counterpart, in order for you to build something successful, maybe you should open like a startup idea on data security and whatnot, and launch on the fucking European market where there's the most regulations on it.
It's a hot topic.
Yeah. Like I see a lot of startups in data security, data privacy and whatnot, especially around the cloud, around the fiasco which happened in AWS recently.
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yeah. So because you're the first lady on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and because like about 95 to 97% of the audience are males watching this, I feel like, I don't know, I'm gonna get canceled for this or not. I feel like I need to ask certain questions. It would be interesting, spicy, and whatnot, controversial maybe. So I'll start with the first one. And I'm wondering, um, is there like a huge difference between being a man in tech and being a woman in tech? Like, are there disadvantages of being a woman, if you will?
What do you think on that topic?
Well, you're making it spicy already by asking the question backward. But the thing is, I ask the questions and you
Uh-huh.
answer. But I mean, I have my
Why?
opinion on this, obviously.
Why would there be, ideally, in an ideal world?
Well,
I
there are
think.
people. Let's say there are women that
Mm-hmm.
believe in the gender pay gap. There are women that believe in the idea of patriarchy and them being suppressed and whatnot. So yeah, like there are women that say that they had like a bad negative experience because maybe they were suppressed because of their women. And I'm wondering if that was the case, if that was during your entire career, anytime the case. Do you
Mm-hmm.
believe that's true? That's a myth? Yes, might happen, things like that.
So you're touching on a couple points here. And when you say women believe in pay gap,
Yeah,
uh, I think people believe in facts because there are certain things happening in the background. And if we were to touch on the pay gap, it's there are reports in here.
true.
Like there is data that demonstrate, yes, there is a pay gap
Yeah, but
between
the data
women.
is corrupt in the sense that they take all paying jobs. They don't take all paying jobs in IT, all paying jobs in constructions, all paying jobs in, like, they take all paying jobs, divide by in a half, and then see
So
who
the
how,
information that I am aware of,
yeah.
so I know at least like two different researchers. One is, you're right, one takes into account all paying jobs, and it's just, I think it's not accurate. The data is not accurate. I would agree there, because women tend to have these jobs which pay lower than the high paying jobs. So with that, I would agree. And that, I think that data says
I
that.
would even argue it's actually benefiting women if you take like the biggest software companies, for example, Google.
Mhm.
In a lot of the cases, women actually are paid more because of these policies and inclusivity and whatnot. So yeah,
I don't know about that, but what I know is that there is actually a study that shows that women in C-level or managing position or senior position, they get paid less. So let's say that for every dollar that a man would make, the study says that women get paid 99 cents. And it's not zero, it's 1 cent difference. But still, if you take like 20 years experience or 30, it makes a
you know
difference.
what else the gender pay gap doesn't account for? It doesn't account for the job. Again, they take all paying jobs. Most of the
Mhm.
studies, it doesn't account for assertivity, for masculinity, for overtime, for how much you're actually like, for competence in a lot of the times. Like all of these are factors which are completely discarded. It's like saying, I don't know, somebody being attractive, but it doesn't take into account how high he is, how like all of these factors which account for what's attractive. The same here. And again, the other problem I see with this idea is complaining, as you mentioned, about the position in power. Like nobody's complaining about the inequality, let's say, in, I don't know, constructions, because there's so few women involved in construction. Nobody's complaining about the women distribution in, I don't know, being a plumber, for example, because nobody fucking does that. Like that's a man typically, or an electrician
Mhm.
or whatever. Like there's of course exceptions from the rule. At the same time, the reason why I don't believe in this study is because it's not like comparing apples to apples, if you will, to the most part. And yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's gonna be spicier. And I was just wondering, what's your opinion of?
But why do you think people complain about something? Because it's not out of the blue. People complain when there is a problem. And
True, but
in
there
this,
are there are multiple causes of why that is. For example, there might be complaints of why are most pilots men, right? And one would argue that a woman can be as good of a pilot as a man.
And there are
But if you were to choose who's gonna fly your plane, would it be a woman or a man? Another example, if you were to choose who's gonna do your surgery, would it be a man or a woman? Like these rhetorical questions that we ask. And again, statistically speaking, these statistics or studies don't account for overtime, for how much more time that person has put into studying, into overwork, into...
I'm not sure I understand. What are you trying to say with that?
I'm trying to say that when you make a study that somebody is being paid this much as opposed to a woman being paid this much, you throw away all the variables which make that person up. The other point I wanted to touch, but I forgot, is a lot of the times women don't negotiate. Like they don't negotiate straight up. Like a guy comes up and says, "Hey, I want a fucking raise or I'm leaving." A woman most of the times will not negotiate. And that's another aspect of it. Like because of the fact that they're a woman, they have a more feminine nature, obviously. They're not as assertive, not as combative as a man would be. I mean, I was like, fuck it, I'm going for another competitor. A woman might, in most of the times, not even ask for a raise.
So you touched on an important point here. Yes, the women don't negotiate. And I think it's also demonstrated by research. And this is where a lot of initiatives and mentoring programs come in. I mean, I was a part of Tech Women Moldova community, and we did a mentoring program. And it's not only we're trying to promote that you can be a woman in tech, there is place for women in tech, because let's be honest, like you talked about your pilot examples, or surgeons, right? You're touching on biases, unconscious biases that we have in tech, in IT. So when I'm building all these initiatives, and what we do with other
but my
women
point
ambassadors.
is if you had to put your life on the line in that situation of death and life, who would you choose? And even
I would choose the best one.
That is my point.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times the best one, like if we're strictly talking about competence, the best ones tend to be men. Like this is a
bias.
That's a statistical fact. It's the same like if you, let's say, go into the trolley bus, how many places you see for like disabled people?
How did we reach to this statistical fact?
We live in a world of generalities. Everything functions based on generalities. You walk into the trolley bus, you don't see, let's say there's 60 places, you don't see 40 of them being for invalids, for people with disability. You see a few of them. The same goes with pretty much everything. Like there are exceptions for the rule and there's the rule. What I'm saying is the rule is, and again, the bias tends, it's the same with data science, by the way. The bias is the bias because of how often it happens. So if something happens more often, meaning if a man is more competent at doing a certain job because of the fact that he's a man, because he's stronger, because he thinks like, there's the other thing which you might not agree with. Like, let's say you walk into a university, you see two people talking about something. Let's say they talk about politics, about the future of the country. Are they two men or two women? Your opinion?
It's a man and a woman.
Most people will say there's two men. Let me give you another scenario. You walk into the same university, you hear two people talk about what the other person yesterday said, or what the other person yesterday, what was the color of the jeans they were. Are they two women or two men?
I see a woman and a man.
Again, most people would say they're two women. My point with this is women tend to think about, let's say, people. Men think about problems, about the world. And part of that aspect is also how our brain functions. And because of that, the bias, as you said, is more men tend to be problem solvers. To add to that, you say it's a bias. Let me ask you this. According to statistics, college and university attendance is vastly in 2025 dominated by women. My question is, why is the tech sector still male dominated?
So I think to answer this question, we need to step back and ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why so few of those women? Yeah, there are more women, more girls in the university. You say statistics demonstrates that. But the number of girls studying computer science is much lower than.
But it's not even about study. That's my point. Like, if you
So
have
there-
more
there-
educated people, more educated women,
Mhm.
why are they not picking up STEM?
So yeah, that's the basic question.
And
I think
it goes
that's-
back to my point. Naturally, biologically speaking, women lean more towards people, towards social studies.
But why is this happening? So
I would say it's because of the biological nature of a woman.
it's not only that, it's
Yeah.
about stereotypes. So imagine you're a little girl and there is a little boy and there is a little girl. And from an early stage, like parents or culture or the society we live in, like for the guy, they will give him as a gift a Lego to construct something, or video games, and will give dolls to our girls, right? So this is how a stereotype is built. And that little girl growing up, she thinks in her head, well, tech is not for me. Like everyone told me like that. My parents like grew me like that. My society, my community told me that.
But
And
let's take progressive societies. Let's take the US. Let's take the UK. Let's take Sweden, where even university is free. Like, if you take the progressive societies, which are the definition of you can choose to be anyone you like in this life, even in those societies which are still predominantly dominated by women when it comes to college, university, still in those societies, they choose not to pursue STEM. And that is, again, back to my point, like, you choose to do so. Like, yes, there's stereotypes. I do agree. But I would say that happens, maybe that's common in, let's say, post-Soviet countries, Eastern Europe, where people still think a woman is supposed to do this, a man is supposed to do that. You can mix and match the two. But if you take progressive societies, like I said, even there, the same pattern persists. So, yeah.
But still, I think parents would dress their girls in pink and boys in blue. And it starts from things like that, very small things, but it starts from here. And I'm talking about it because it's something I felt myself. I was told myself, you should not go to study computer science. It's not a place for you.
But I was also told that. I was also told, like, you shouldn't study computer. That's like, leave those shitty, stupid websites. You're not gonna be like, you're gonna go to constructions.
Who told you that?
My family situation is a little bit more complicated. So I grew up at a foster house, basically. So there were parents taking care, like foster parents taking care of us. And obviously they had their own kids. And I was told, like, leave that fucking websites. You're not gonna be an engineer. Forget about it. What if this is not real? I mean, even like as a man, you have to fight the odds. Yeah.
It's there. Yeah. I'm not neglecting that men don't face these types of things, but have you ever been told that you're a man and as a man, there is no place for you in tech?
I am aware that as a man, I have responsibilities, and compared to a woman, for example, I cannot choose. Like, a job for a woman is elective. That is the difference between us. You can choose to have a job. I don't have a choice as a man.
Why do you mean? Why wouldn't you? You do have a choice.
As a woman, you can choose to be a traditional wife, a stay-at-home mom.
You can be as a man. What's wrong with that?
No, you can't. Those relationships don't survive. Let's be honest.
No, I know examples. I know relationships.
That's the point. You point to the exception to the rule. I'm talking about the rule.
There is no rule.
When I say the rule, I mean, statistically speaking, the examples that you see are insignificant. Like, if you see, I don't know, a few thousands out of 8 billion people, that is statistically insignificant. That doesn't matter. Statistically speaking, if you have a man who doesn't have a job for long enough time, what's going to happen most of the times is his dumbass is going to be left alone because he's not what he's supposed to be. He's not a provider. And whether you like to admit it or not, a lot of the times that relationship is not going to go well. At least that's what I'm trying to say. As a man, you don't have that much of a choice. Like, yes, even in progressive societies.
I don't really agree with what you're saying. Like, you're saying, again, so you're talking about stereotypes because the society brings you to this state where you think that it's something that you have to be. You're supposed to have that job because if you don't have, like, you're a failure or whatsoever. But that's not the case. And I see it. I'm glad that I see it, like, even in Moldova, in our communities, I see more
So when you choose a guy, why do you want him to be, most girls will fucking answer this, like, why do you want him to be taller than you and stronger than you? When you have police that protects you, when you have a democratical society where you can express freely, like, why do you subconsciously make that choice?
Perhaps I'm not the perfect person to answer this question,
Right.
because, well, first of all, yes, as a teenager, I was having all these fantasies in my head, which became true, actually. I have a pretty handsome husband.
No, my point
But
is women, well, most of women will say,
Mhm.
I don't like short guys. I don't like skinny guys. The reason why they choose that is they choose with their brain, which is primarily dictating biological traits.
It's not only the
Like,
brain.
I want some kind of survival value. And one of the survival values of a woman picking a man is I want him to be some kind of a provider. And the moment he's not a provider, the Wi-Fi switches to the best signal he can find.
There are two things I see here you're talking about. So first, like the choice is tall, handsome, strong, whatsoever. It's things that you as girls and boys, we watch on TV, we watch TV shows, and you see like handsome guys, and
No, but that's
you
not.
want to be the Barbie girl.
It's
you
not even
see.
about the TV show. Like,
So that's one thing. The other thing is you want the man to be a provider. And again, I think it's something, it's the society we live in, it's how the society puts it, and it's what society expects from you as a man. So that's how I see it. But I think there is a different way as well. And I see couples nowadays. I see like couples who discuss between them and who agree. Like I see successful women who have a career, and I see men who would just stay at home dads, grow their kids. And I see that in Chisinau, this is changing.
this is
So
like,
I want to tell just one story, how I see the things are changing. And that makes me really glad. Like every morning I go with my dog in the park and we have our morning walk. And I see a lot of young mothers with trolleys and their child. But recently I see more and more fathers like walking their kids in the park without mothers. So that means like things are changing. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I think it's the stereotypical traditional family responsibilities.
I wouldn't say it's stereotypical. I would say it's strict biology, and when shit hits the fan, we will revert to our biological traits and needs.
You gave the example of more progressive society, and I think it was
No, but the point is, even in progressive societies like US, UK, Sweden, and whatnot, women will choose exactly the same. I want some kind of security / survival value from a guy, whether he's stronger than me, more I don't know, taller than me, more I don't know, financially stable and whatnot. Like, there's a huge amount of criteria, but my point is, it's some kind of survival value. And what's tied to that survival value is, does he have a job? Am I going to be able to take care of the kids when we'll have kids, for example? And if that's not the case, a lot of the times that will be seen as, okay, this is not the fucking guy. And that is my point. Like, that's
I
where
wouldn't say that's the
that's
case.
where we don't have a choice as men.
I wouldn't say that's the case. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
what you're describing is statistically insignificant. The fact that you know, I don't know, 10 or 20 people doing that, it doesn't mean
it's
that's
statistically insignificant, because that's the society we lived in, because of what you're talking, like you're supposed to, right? Because of the rules, unwritten rules this society has built around us. But that doesn't mean like you have a choice, and things are changing and they will keep changing. And just because you touched on progressive societies, I was reading the article. I don't remember, it's Sweden, Norway, it's some of the Nordics. They have this. Oh no, it's Iceland. Yes, it's Iceland. And you need to check on that, because they have this parental leave, and fathers can be stay-at-home dads. So that's officially by law. And mothers can go and have like their career, build their career. And this is changing. Like, and these things like would be significantly, like statistically insignificant, the way you put it, as long as we don't do do nothing about it, right?
Who put the rules? Who created the rules? A lot of women will say we live in a patriarchic society, correct? Where It's a society led by men, in other words.
It is.
So my counter question to that then is, can you name me or give an example of a matriarchy that survived or stood the test of time? If that's a thing, if we've progressed.
Iceland?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not a matriarchy. A matriarchy is a society led by women only, which stood the test of time. Like, the fact is, we live in a world governed by violence, right? So whoever understands the concept of violence more and controls more of it, who has the power, like who's the strongest country? Which country is the strongest? You would say USA, correct?
Iceland.
You would say USA. Why? Because USA
Mhm.
has the biggest army, the biggest military might. So it all comes down to violence, right? So
Why?
if we're
Why
talking
does
about,
it has to come to violence?
because that's how ultimately you solve, like that's how you dictate anything. Like whoever wins, like losers never wrote history. That's not a fact. Whoever wins writes history. Whoever holds the biggest amount of power and might is the one who dictates the terms. And by nature, women biologically are feminine and soft, and that's how they love them to be. And you can't compete with a fucking monster who knows what violence is, who starts wars, who's doing all this shit around the world.
Yes,
And that's why you don't
soft.
have matriarchies that survive the test
Yes,
of time.
women are soft, but that doesn't mean that they are not powerful, not smart, or that they cannot have negotiations on a table.
Yeah, but people don't, like, if you take violence, the concept of violence, there's no negotiation. Whoever has the biggest amount of it wins.
So in ancient times, I think, yes, violence was the
No,
solution.
still today, who dictates take a look at the trade war. Take a look at any kind of political war. It's whoever holds the biggest amount of power. And power
I would
equals army.
I would
equals,
say it's whoever holds the brains.
It's, again, control. It all comes down to control, and control is imposed by the amount of power you have. If I have a fucking gun and I come into, I don't know, a bank, it doesn't matter who you are in the bank, what's your status, how much money you have. Your life is worth nothing. I control what I control what you're gonna do in that case.
Look at the other part of the things.
Yeah.
I think it's also very important how good of a strategist you are, right? How it's about the brains, how smart you are, how well can you manage a challenging situation, right? Because yeah, there can be violence, but you can manage it somehow, right? You can have a strategy in place. It's like a chess game. There is somebody who has a better strategy and wins the chess game, and there is the pieces who fight, right? But you don't have to be the one
True, but again,
involved in the fight.
You are assuming everyone plays fair and according to the rules.
It doesn't have to.
But the thing is, there is no rules. The one who is the strongest dictates the rules, writes them, if you will.
I think this discussion is getting somewhere. We're talking about violence.
Yeah. I was, we started, again, I said this is going to be...
I don't like to talk about violence. And I love to think
No, my point was, we started touching on the matriarchy, and I explained why there is no matriarchy that stood the test of time, is because the most violent / powerful society is the one that survives, whether we like to admit it or not. That's how biologically it works. And that's why we don't have societies like, you have an opinion, okay, how about you defend? Like, take a look at, for example, Afghanistan, right? Taliban took over. I know it's politics, you probably don't like it. Like, Taliban took over. Like, what happened to women's rights there? Again, the concept of violence. If you can't defend your rights, meaning you're not violent, then you have no rights.
Is that a progressive society?
No, but my point is, the most violent society is the one that actually dictates what the rule is. And you have no matriarchy because of that.
So Taliban, Afghanistan, where did that get there? Not too far, right? They're not doing too good.
No, but that's not the point, whether they're doing good or not. The point is, we're talking about rights and shit, but if you don't fight for the rights, for the freedoms, for whatever, like, still men would have to go there to defend the rights of the women, right? Because women are not doing that apparently. So my
But
point
we
is,
did that in the past, right?
so my point is, we live in a patriarchy because that's the only way to live. Like, if you have an opinion as a woman in Taliban, why don't you defend it? Why don't all the women in Taliban, in Afghanistan, gather and debate and like defend their rights? So, like, again, we go back to violence, right? So the concept of violence, that's what dictates the world order in a way.
But we don't want to live in this world, right?
No, we don't want to.
We don't want to
It's
live.
fair, but we're people. Like, we're by nature, let's put it this way,
But
we are.
imagine yourself in what type of world do you want to live? I think this is also kind of choice, right? I think those people and those women living in that country, if they had a choice, they would just come to any European countries, go to United States,
No,
because
that's true. What you're saying is true.
that's where women have the rights to vote, right? The basic rights, and women fought for this right years ago, and we celebrate that. There is a Women Day to celebrate, and many other celebration. And if that woman would have a choice, they would go somewhere else. But imagine the world you want to live in, right?
No, I'm not saying
I'm
that's the
sure-
world I want to live in. Like,
I'm sure it's not a world where we have violence, right?
don't get me wrong. I love democracy. I love the fact that I can say whatever the fuck I want. I wish the same for all women across the globe.
Mhm.
But there's such thing called reality, and some parts of the globe are not as democratic as we currently enjoy. Like, we wouldn't have this discussion if that wasn't the case. At the same time, we're fucked up as people, right? We are violent, whether we want it to be or not. That is who we are. Wars will continue, and we will keep on having these situations or countries or societies where people suffer, right? At the same time, I'm not saying I advocate for that or that's the world I want to live
I
in.
really hope there is going to be one day without violence and without war. And yeah, we're going to have a peaceful world. But I think
I don't believe in that. I think that's naturally part of who we are.
I understood that you already see the empty part of the glass. I'll be the optimist here, and I'll see the full part of the glass. And I love to think, and I think nobody wants violence. And I want to ask you here,
Right.
like, what's the perfect world for you? Would you rather live in violence or live in a world where you have the choice to do what you really love, what you really enjoy? I don't know. Do you love kids? Do you want to have some kids at the time? Would you love to spend time with them?
I will say yes to all of what you said. And I will add by saying that I'm a true believer that there is no perfect world. And no
Mhm.
matter how much I or somebody else would love to see it that way, it's not. I will also say that there's an equal amount of evil for the same amount of love and compassion and good values that we put out there. There's an equal amount of evil. It's like an yin yang type of thing. So the vice versa is also true. For every evil that happens out there, there's an equal amount of love, compassion, and kindness, which happens somewhere else around the world. And it's a delicate balance. There's no light without darkness. There's no darkness without light. I am a firm believer in balance, and the universe exists because of balance. And as much as I would love it to be perfect, meaning everybody kind, butterflies and shit, it's not like that. And my point is, I didn't create the game. I'm just reporting the rules. Like, this is how the game is played, And yeah, I guess I'm just an observer. I'm just a player myself. That's all.
Why not be more than an observer? Why not change? Because, I mean, for me, I'm going to tell you what's my approach now, because I think at some point I decided I don't want to be an observer. I was in a meeting room, right? And I was the only woman in that meeting room, and I was surrounded by men.
Right.
It was the moment I stepped back and I was asking myself, where are all the women? And I think for me, that was the moment when I decided I don't want to be an observer anymore. And I want to take some action. I want to change things. And I think we as humans, we can do that. We can actually change the environment around us. We can change what's happening.
You can be a light in the darkness. You can be the positive impact in the world. At the same time, the world is how it is. And when I say observer, I don't mean in a passive way. I mean, I am part of this world. And wherever I try my best to impact it in the best way, there will be other parts of the world that will suffer. And there's not much I can do to change it.
Perhaps, but I love to think that change starts with myself.
I agree with all you said.
Every single steps you can bring a positive change to everything that is happening. So
I try my best to
I challenge you to be a bit more optimistic about things. And I would say that we live in a progressive society, right? And I mean, we don't live in caves anymore. Things are changing. Things are going to keep changing. And I gave you the example of Iceland. And I don't know if you're aware of that, but Iceland, I think, is the top #1 country in terms of equality between women and men as a society. And I'm not sure if you know that, but Moldova is top 10 as well. Moldova is number 7 in the list. And
impressive.
Yeah, but I can see that. I can see why is that happening. So we have equal rights. Maybe we have equal pay. And I have an example. It's like, for me, because I knew negotiation skills and I had the right environment around me, and I have to be honest, like my second job, I did have a high salary, higher than my colleague who was a man, because I asked for more. But I asked for more because I had the community around me who told me, well, you should go and ask for 1,000 euros. They didn't give me 1,000 euros, but they still give me higher than my colleague. So, we have, I think, we live in our progressive society. And if you go to the Technical University of Moldova at the moment, you're going to see like 50-50 girls and boys learning computer science.
I don't believe that's true, actually. Because even in my class, it was like,
I was
1 or 2 girls, and it was like 100 boys or so.
Well, we were like 5 girls and 20 boys, I think, studied the English program. But that was 10 years ago.
Right.
Now my brother is studying, and for real, it's 50-50. Like it's 50% girls.
No, but the fact that they're studying doesn't equate to them actually having jobs. That's
in the
two different
workforce.
things.
In the workforce, I agree. We don't see that equality yet.
And that is because of innate nature of who you are as a woman versus who you are as a man.
Well, I think there are more things. It's not just that. I think that's very small. I think the bigger part is, again, the stereotypes, the biases that we have. I mean, there are lots of things, lots of criteria. I'm not sure that I want to get there, but what I want you to say is that things are changing, and we have like all these programs for women. Like, not sure if you heard of Girls Go IT.
I did.
I think they also do have a high impact on those girls coming, because eventually you see a lot of girls who've been through their programs and they're in high school and they come to study computer science because they understand, well, that's not that hard as I thought. That's not like everyone was telling me that it's not a place for a girl. So they go on and study that. And then there is other aspects, like there is imposter syndrome, I think.
How do we heal from the imposter syndrome?
I don't know.
Even I suffer from it. Everyone suffers. I think
suffers.
Everyone who's somewhat involved in some, let's say, brain-involved activity is going to suffer from it.
I don't have the answer, but this is just one of the things that also impacts there. But I think eventually, because we have so many programs, and even Tech Women Moldova is doing a lot of things to encourage women to continue their career, and like mentoring programs and so on and so forth. So eventually we're going to see more women in tech as well in the workforce. We don't see it yet, but I know girls. I have friends who are very good coders. I know girls who chose to do QA because they were thinking less of themselves, even though now they are great backend engineers and mobile developers and so on and so forth. So I know of these girls, but it's still some work to do, but things are changing. And I'll be honest, when I saw the leaders, like the top countries with gender equality, and I saw Moldova top 7, I was glad. Like, it's something to really be proud of. I'm hoping that I really did get to challenge you in the way you think about women in tech.
It's not a position where I think women are not as good. It's not a position where...
At least don't think of what you're supposed to do. Because
no, I understand where you're coming from. You're coming from a feministic approach where we must fight. We must fight the stereotypes. We must push against what we were told we must do and whatnot. And believe me, I've done what you're just trying to suggest. I've tried to go out of this bubble. Okay, let me explore. Let me see what's happening. Yeah. Let me see how this works. And the truth is, like I said, if you're incompetent as a man, again, I'm opening a new Pandora box, but if you're incompetent as a man and if you're trying to do this exploration of your own, sooner rather than later, you'll be hit by reality. You'll fucking bang your head over the wall. That's going to be a rejection from a girl. That's going to be you not being promoted. Like something is going to, like reality will make sure to remind you, you're a fucking man. You need to do this. And you live in a society like led by men. So you're one of them, act like fucking one. Whereas if you're a woman, you live in a slightly different reality. That is my point. I'm not trying to fight it. I'm trying to adapt to it. I'm trying to, okay, what can I do to make the better use of it, you know?
But you see, you're talking about if you're incompetent as a man. So that's a different discussion, because same what you said, I can say if you are incompetent as a woman.
No, you can't.
You can.
No, you can't. There's a lot of incompetent women that are happy wives, having killed children. They don't need to worry about life. They're taken care of. There are a lot of them, actually.
I'm sure they do have something they're good at.
No, my point is the job for you is elective. You can choose not to have it if you wanted to. I don't have a choice. That was the only thing that I said is the difference.
Well, then I didn't reach my goal because I was hoping I would challenge that. Because my opinion, everyone has a choice.
Let's just say this. I am open for a version 2. Let's call it a topic discussion because this was more of a broad discussion. I am open for a V2 to discuss this.
Yes.
And potentially have my mind changed. Why not?
Yes. And I see, I'll be honest with you, you're not the only one coming with these ideas and telling me that. And for me personally, it saddens me to see men think like that because you also, sometimes I think men have too high expectations of themselves.
Again, there's the burden of performance on men, so which is not on women.
There is this burden, and I don't like to see men like that. And I don't know. I wish I could challenge you to change that.
I wish there were more women like you. But the truth is about 4 to 5 billion of them don't think like you think.
How do we change that?
And if you take statistics, like if you're going to jump out with a parachute and the instructor tells you, look, it's only going to take off in 10% of the chances, you're going to be a smart guy, not act stupid, and probably not jump because you know in 90% of the cases it's not going to work. So that's kind of my point. Like statistically speaking, yes, those people exist. Yes, those exceptions exist. Am I going to fucking base my entire life on exceptions? Probably not. So it's not probable. It can happen. There are exceptions, but it's not probable. It's not like that's like a generality that I can base my life on. And that's how I operate as a man. And that's why I think this is the reality. But like I said, I would very much love to have a V2. You're a wonderful person, interesting to talk to, have interesting opinions. Like I said, it's been a while since we've seen each other, good old friend, colleague, and whatnot. And I'd love to have another discussion.
Yeah, there's so much more to be discussed. Agreed.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, I have one final question, which I ask everyone.
Yeah.
For anyone who's watching this, what is your final piece of advice / recommendation you want them to leave with?
That's a good question. I think try to experiment as much as you can with doing different type of things and find your true passion, find what truly motivates you. And find what you love, find the one thing that will make you wake up in the morning, So in order to reach that, you really have to experiment and try different things. And I think that's my story. That's how I came up to do what I do, because I did try a lot of things along my career, so that in the end, I found out what I truly love, building ideas, take ideas and build impactful things. So I think that's my recommendation, especially young people. Just experiment a lot and build things and find what you truly love.
I would say it's a beautiful piece of advice, one that I follow to this day, and try to not forget to always keep on trying out new stuff, learning, and just going out in the world,
Yes, so true.
Like I said, it's been a wonderful discussion. I would love to repeat it again. Before we end the show, the tradition of the show is typically the drink of choice is wine, but because you were driving today, you couldn't drink and whatnot. Yeah. But still, the tradition of the show is the guest must pick a bottle. So we have two brands. The first one is, I think, Gogo Winery. The other one is, what's the other one? It's Divas Winery. I try to try new stuff, so you can pick a bottle. And that's part of the tradition, I would say.
That's a hard choice.
I don't fucking know how to even taste. Like, I opened the bottles, but then you said you're coming by car, so I'll taste it afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, and also taste one, but I would choose the Gogo Winery, I think. I think I've tried Divas before.
Yeah, I haven't tried neither. I will do after the show, I guess.
So I love what you're doing here. So you're experimenting, trying different
See, I'm applying what you just said. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Okay, Gogo Winery it is, then good choice. Well, I can't say it's a good choice because I need to try it myself, but yeah. Like I said before, looking forward for a V2. It's been really my honor and pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for inviting me, and I hope you have more women in the future to challenge.
Of course, I'm looking forward.
Nice.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this was VUnstaged. Keep your mind open and your source unstaged.